Hi guys, today we are going to discuss important questions as well as summary of the chapter A Letter to God of Class 10 CBSE English. And this is first chapter. So, first let us look at the summary of the chapter so as to have a clear idea. So, the story. And this story mainly tells about the existence of faith and humanity. So, this story, A Letter to God, is a story of extreme faith in God. In this story, what is the message which the author want to give us? It's just about the faith. The writer of this story, that is Joel Fuentes, had tried to depict the faith in God of a simple poor farmer. So in this chapter, the author has mainly tried to show us the faith in God of a farmer whose name is Lencho. Lencho was a poor farmer, and Lencho was an honest and hard-working farmer. He was working as cattle work in a field. Once there was a hailstorm, and in his valley, and it destroyed his crops completely. Hailstones means all those some sort of storm condition is there, and hailstones means all those ole, which we say in Hindi. So due to this hailstorms, his whole field was destroyed. His crops were destroyed. Lencho had great faith to God, but still, after too much of destruction, but then also he was having complete faith in God. He wrote a letter to God. So then he decided to write a letter to God and asked to God to send him money. And then when he wrote a letter, he requested God to send him money. The postmaster saw the letter. So then the postmaster saw that letter and he decided to help Lencho as he was a kind person. He collected some money. From his own savings, salary, and all those from his colleagues, friends, relatives. So he put it inside the envelope. Then he kept that money in that envelope. Although he was not able to collect the amount which Lencho requested for, after a few days, Lencho came to the post office. He came again to the post office, but this time he came a bit earlier because he was excited to check his mail. Why he came to post office? So that if there was any mail, the post office people gave him the envelope. So the postmaster gave him the envelope himself, who have helped him. Lencho opened the envelope. He opened the envelope and he took out the money and he started counting it. So he opened the envelope and he started counting it, that how much money. So he found that it was less than he had asked for. So actually Lencho asked for 100 pesos. But when he counted that money, he saw that it was less than 100 pesos. And in the middle of the chapter, it has been described that how much money actually the postmaster sent. That is 70 pesos. After that, he wrote another letter to God. So the 30 pesos were left. So he wrote a letter to God again. He asked to send him the rest of the money. So he believed that God can't make any mistake. So he wrote a letter again to God, but this time Lencho wanted God not to send the money through mail. But then he thought that God cannot make any mistake as he was having complete faith. So he thought that the post office employees might have taken some of the money. So he requested God, or he wrote in the letter that God, now this time don't send me money through mail. Try to send it in some other way, not through mail. So he considered them a bunch of crooks, and then he considered himself that the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Bunch of crooks means cheaters who had stolen 30 pesos from the 100 pesos sent by the God. So this was about this 30 pesos. It was later on described in the chapter. So I think this summary has given you a clear idea about what the chapter is. So now let us discuss some important questions which are usually asked in your test and even in board exams also. So let us begin with the first question. What did Lencho hope for? All these questions are simple, but due to grammatical mistakes we are unable to write down the answer. So the first question, simple question, what did Lencho hope for? Lencho hoped for rain. It's not rain, it's rain, as the only thing that his field of ripe corn needed was a shower. So Lencho, he actually hoped for rain, a shower of rain, because the shower of rain may increase the productivity of his crops. Next question, why did Lencho say the raindrops were like new coins? This was described in the second page of the chapter. So Lencho crops were ready for harvest. So everything was going on well initially. However, they required a good downpour. A good downpour means mild rain before harvesting. So before harvesting, those crops needed a little bit rain, irrigation. After the downpour, means after the rain, he could sell the harvest and get some money, because if a farmer sells something, then in return he gets some money. And that is why he compared the raindrops to the new coins, because new coins were all valuable. In the same way, those raindrops were valuable for him, because without those raindrops nothing could not happen further. Next question, how did the rain change? What happened to Lencho's field? So here the question is that how the rain changed and what are the consequences of that rain. The rain was pouring down. The rain started, but suddenly a strong wind began to blow and very large hailstones began to fall along with the rain. So suddenly that rain turned into strong storm wind, and then that wind it also brings some hailstones. It looks like crystals made up of ice. So hailstones began to fall along with the rain, and then the hail rained on the valley. So where the crops were grown over at that place, the rain fell for an hour, 1 hour, because of which Lencho's field were destroyed. And due to these hailstorms, wind, rain, extreme rain, all his crops were destroyed. There was no single leaf left on the trees, and the flowers were gone from the plants. So now nothing was left. No, neither a leaf nor a flower on the trees. The corn was completely destroyed. Means he had worked hard for 1 year, and now at the end his corn was destroyed. Literally, this is the situation in a realistic life of a student. When you work hard completely for exams, and when you see the result, it's just below your hope. Your hard work is more, but the marks which you obtain is literally less. So there's a sense of depression. So in the same way, Lencho was also having the same feeling at that moment. Next question, what were Lencho's feeling when the hail stopped? So when the hail stopped, Lencho's soul was filled with sadness. Why sadness? Because now the rain has stopped. Nothing was left. All his crops were destroyed. His hard work was now nowhere. He looked around at his field and said that even a plague of locusts would have left more than what was left after the hailstorm. Plague of locusts means insects, grasshopper especially. So he said that if there would be an attack of plague of locusts, that is grasshoppers, some residue would be left. some amount of his crops would be left so that he may sell it down and he may get money. But due to these hailstorms, nothing was left. He said that they would have no corn that year and they would go hungry. So then and then he says that this year now they are having nothing, they are not having corn, so this year they are going to be hungry. He was full of sorrow. He was totally sad, depressed, no hope left. Next question. Who or what did Lencho have faith in? What did he do? In this chapter, this is a very small chapter and the questions are being repeated in this chapter. So in this, particularly in this chapter, there is no need to concentrate on all the questions. The thing is that you must be clear, crystal clear with the chapter. That's enough for this chapter. So the answer, Lencho had complete faith in God. The common thing which, he had been instructed that God's eye see everything. So when he was a child, his parents taught him that whatever you do, whatever others do, all is being seen by the God. Even what is deep in the one conscience. The next question is, who or what did Lencho have complete faith in, or what did he do? Lencho had faith in God. He had been instructed that God's eye see everything. So this was taught by his parents when he was a child, when he was approx 7, you might say, or below 7. So he was taught that whatever we people do, whether it's good or bad, God sees everything, even what's in deep one conscience. So God can judge out what's in us. Therefore he wrote a letter to God expressing his need for 100 pesos so that he could sow his field again and live until the crops grew again. So he decided to write a letter to God and to express his views that he needs 100 pesos so that he can grow his crops again and to live happily. The next question. Was Lencho surprised to find a letter for him with money in it? So no, Lencho was not at all surprised to see the letter from God with money inside it, as Lencho believed that as Lencho was having a complete faith in God, so he was not surprised to see money in it. His confidence and faith in God was such that he accepted that really from God. Next question. What made him angry? He got angry when he counted the money. So when Lencho was counting his money, there was an expression of angerness. There were only 70 pesos in the envelope. So Lencho he requested for 100 pesos, but in the envelope, when he counted the money, he saw that it was just 70 pesos. He was confident that God could neither make a mistake nor deny him what he had requested. So as he was having complete faith in God, so he believed that God can never make any mistake, or neither he can deny his what he requested. So therefore he concluded that the post office employees must have taken the remaining 30 pesos. So then he thought a lot, and then he concluded that the rest of the 30 pesos which were not there in the envelope, he thought that those 30 pesos were stolen by the employees of that post office. So guys, this was about the chapter A Letter to God.